We're surrounded by stuff that's designed to last. But have you ever really thought about the science that keeps it all from falling apart? Today, we're going to dive into the incredible world of protective coatings and the super intense testing that makes sure everything from your car's paint job to your kitchen counter can actually handle, well, life.
Think about it. That invisible shield on your phone? It's not magic. It's a masterpiece of material science. It's a special coating that's been carefully engineered and, more importantly, absolutely brutally tested to survive the total chaos of our daily lives.
So, what's the main mission here? It's all about a coating's mechanical integrity. That's a fancy way of saying scientists need to know its breaking point. They literally push, pull, and twist these materials to see how they handle stress, how much they can stretch, that's strain, and how they hold up to being used over and over again, which is fatigue.
And look, these aren't just some random experiments in a lab. Each test is a super carefully designed simulation of the real world. The whole point is to predict the future, to see how a coating on your car will handle years of sun and rain, or how a frying pan will deal with getting heated up and cooled down 1,000 times.
Okay, let's talk about the first line of defense, hardness. This is basically the coating's superpower to resist the daily attack of bumps, scrapes, and scratches. It's the only thing standing between your car keys and a nasty gash on your phone screen.
So, on a science level, what is hardness? It's all about a material's power to say nope to permanent damage in one spot, what engineers call plastic deformation. So if you press something sharp against a surface and it just bounces back with no dent, no scratch, you're seeing some serious hardness in action.
So how in the world do you measure something like that? Well, one of the classic ways is the Vickers test, which is actually pretty cool and super precise. They take the tip of a tiny pyramid-shaped diamond, because, it's the hardest thing out there, and they press it into the coating with a very specific amount of force. Then, they just measure the tiny dent it leaves behind. The logic is simple. The smaller the mark, the harder the material. It's that easy.
And trust me, the results can be just mind-blowing. Some of these advanced coatings can hit a Vickers hardness, or HV, of over 1,400. To put that in perspective for you, your average stainless steel is sitting at around 200 HV. That is a massive leap in strength.
And this is where you really see the magic happen. A specialized tungsten carbide coating can be 3 times harder than the actual steel it's supposed to protect. It's basically a suit of armor on a microscopic scale. But, even the best armor is totally useless if it doesn't stay on. Right? A super hard coating doesn't help anyone if it just flakes off at the first sign of trouble. And that brings us to the next vital property, adhesion. This is all about the sticking power.
Now, the goal sounds pretty straightforward, but the science behind it is really complex. You have to measure the strength of that bond. How much force can it take before it gets ripped away from the surface it's protecting? A strong bond is absolutely the key to long-lasting performance.
To figure this out, scientists have a whole toolbox of methods. There's pull-off testing, where they literally glue a little peg to the coating and measure how much force it takes to rip it off. They use shear and tensile tests to stretch and tear at the bond. They even study how it fails to see if it's peeling off cleanly or actually taking a chunk of the material underneath with it.
Okay, so our coating is hard, and it sticks like glue. Awesome. But the really big question is, can it last? The next phase of testing is all about durability for the long haul, especially how coatings hold up against the constant, grinding forces of friction and abrasion.
And it's probably a good idea to quickly clear these two terms up. Friction, that's the force that resists motion, like brakes on your car. Abrasion is the actual physical damage that happens because of that rubbing, the material literally getting worn away over time. A top-notch coating has to beat both.
A really common way to test for this is the pin-on-disc test. This thing is basically a time machine for wear and tear, simulating a lifetime of use in just a few hours. You have a pin with the coating on it, and it gets pressed against a spinning disc. After millions of rotations, scientists can measure exactly how much material got worn away and see if the friction changed.
And again, the results are just staggering. This data shows that a really well-designed coating can slash the wear rate by a factor of 7. That means the coated thing will last 7 times longer in the same conditions. This is exactly why coatings are a total game changer for industrial machines and engine parts.
All right, now we get to the really fun part, the most intense phase, extreme stress testing. At this stage, the goal isn't just to see if the coating works. The goal is to find out exactly when and how it breaks. We're talking about discovering its absolute limit.
And this involves some seriously destructive methods. They'll take coated beams and bend them until they snap in a 3-point bending test, just to see how the coating cracks.
They'll crush them with massive loads. They'll even do scratch tests, where they just keep increasing the force on a sharp point until the coating completely and catastrophically fails, all to find that one critical point.
So why all this destruction? You might be wondering why they'd go through all this trouble. Well, the purpose is actually really simple: to make sure the failure happens in the lab, so it never, ever happens out here in the real world. By finding that absolute breaking point under controlled conditions, scientists can build in a huge margin of safety for all of us.
So from resisting a single scratch all the way to surviving a whole lifetime of wear and tear, the science of coatings is this hidden world of engineering that basically makes our modern lives possible. This incredibly rigorous testing is the foundation that lets us innovate. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? With these kinds of methods to prove their strength, what amazing new materials, like self-healing surfaces, or maybe even totally frictionless coatings, are just around the corner.